All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, podcast peeps? Got a special show for you today from MyFantasySportsTalk.com. I am one of your hosts for My Fantasy Podcast, Brandon Reed. I'm joined by my co-host, Daniel Schalk, and Orlando Torres of the site. And we also have that special guest I'm talking about. We'll introduce in just a moment, but this is going to be a hot podcast. Dan, possibly our biggest guest ever on the show.
Yeah, man, we're bringing star power to My Fantasy Podcast, MyFantasySportsTalk.com. Anybody who is an avid listener of the show or just reader of the site probably caught an article last week from the People's Podcast. We have the group of WWE Smack Talk, as contributors to MFST, and they had a chance to interview our guest tonight first in a great interview, great piece that's up on the site on their Facebook page. And, we reached out and said, we need this guy on our show, and we're excited to have him and excited to interview a guy of, possibly future stardom very soon.
And Orlando is back with us after it seems like several weeks off, Orlando, but glad you're back. And I know you're excited to be back because our guest tonight is right there in the wrestling family now. He's in the thick of it, and I know you're a big wrestling fan as I am.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I'm back. And what a perfect time to be back for this guest. So I'm excited to be back with you guys and excited for everything we got going on today and to show for our fans.
So let's welcome in our guest for today's podcast, My Fantasy Podcast. Thanks for joining us. But we're joined today by Brendan Griffin, also goes by High Flyer BG. You can find him on Instagram and all that social media. But welcome to the show, man. Saw you on the People's Podcast from the Smack Talk guys and did a great job. Those guys do a great job. So we're glad to have you on My Fantasy Podcast. Welcome.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Yeah, that was great. Those guys are awesome. They're local. They're really crushing it right now with positivity. So it's great that it led me to you guys, and let's just keep rolling.
Absolutely. So the reason you are here is because we caught wind of some very big news that's going on in your life. You have been invited to a WWE tryout in the WWE Training Facility Center in Orlando coming up at the end of the month. So you must be just elated and ecstatic, probably one of the biggest moments of your life, one of the biggest opportunities, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's like you just said, you never know what's going to happen, and just really staying focused on training, eating well, and staying positive and going down there and crushing it, making them want me there. And there's no reason why I can't do that and have a great time while doing it. So that's really where my focus is right now, and just kind of spreading that throughout.
So let's back up way back. I was listening to the podcast before. You played 3 sports, or at least 3 sports in high school, played some college baseball, played in a semi-professional football league. So if you don't mind, just kind of back up and tell the folks at home about your athletic background, how you got here, and how you got even to the point where WWE was interested enough to send you an invite for the training center. So just back up to your high school days through college. Where'd you play college? And tell the folks at home a little bit more about Brendan Griffin.
Yeah, so I went to high school at Bishop Conley High School in Fall River, Massachusetts. I actually played 4 sports, but 3 we mentioned in the podcast were football, basketball, and baseball. I also golfed 1 year. So I really like to stay active and really find those passions and find what I was good at. And I was a left-hander in baseball, so it was kind of unique. So at that point, that was really what I was best at, pitching. And I went and took that opportunity to go play in college at CCRI in Warwick, Rhode Island. Had some tough times in my life. At that point, my father had a heart attack. He was, very healthy, and he was someone that always trained me. So that was definitely kind of a burden on me just because of the times I was still young and training and all that. And baseball was my passion. Having my father there was definitely my passion too. Thank God he lived through it. But being young and, having some anxieties with those things, I left school, went into the work world, still took classes part-time, was in the insurance business. And about 25, 26 years old, I kind of looked back and was like, man, I wish I was still playing a sport. How do I play professionally at that point? It's a little tough without the college background, and fitness had always been a passion of mine, and I always stayed in shape and continued getting stronger and athletically, working on those things. So I reached out to some different people in the sports world and tried to come back and play football. Being 6'5.5", 245 pounds, I thought that, football at that point was a better option than baseball, just because being out of baseball for so long and baseball being such a touch sport with pitching and hitting and those things, that if I was strong and fast and could run a good 40-yard dash and, use my hands and catch the football out of a tight end position, that someone might give me a shot. So I kind of used that to propel myself into the FXFL, which was a league that they were using as a feeder system for the NFL or for guys that were in similar situations as mine or out of college that didn't get any looks to get more tape. And from that, then I got another opportunity with an arena team with their practice squad. So I kind of looked at those opportunities as, it wasn't the Patriots or playing for, one of the top NFL teams, but it would be something that would give me some more credibility, whether it was in the fitness background or the sports background. It was something to chase my passion. It was something to inspire other people. Hey, if you got something you want to try, get out and try it. There's no reason to sit home. If you want to be great, the only way you're going to be great is just by pushing yourself. So those are the things I looked at, and I just wanted to get out there and crush it, and just kept telling myself, no matter what, good things will happen. So that's kind of where a lot of these opportunities came. I saw social media being a platform where you could really get out and speak and become someone that is enlightening other people and inspiring other people and having a place to go to and put positivity out there. So I use social media and Instagram particularly as a platform to just get my name out there. And through that, it brought me to the opportunity with the WWE. And that's kind of how it all went down.
Well, I think it's already inspiring because, as you know, Brendan, I would say, I don't know, maybe you can put a more precise number on this, but 95% of high school athletes, once they graduate and play their last game their senior year of high school, that's it. That's it for their sports career. And it is sad. Like you said, like in your mid-20s, you're thinking, man, I'd still like to be involved in sports, but not many people have that opportunity, and it's long gone by then. So for you to keep pursuing that is definitely inspiring, and to continue doing that. And now you're right at 30 years of age. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And one thing about that, I think those statistics, I used to look at them and say, well, you know what, how many people make the NFL or this or that? And then I took the state of Massachusetts, and some nights I was out running at 1 a.m. on a rainy night. And I said, well, how many people live in Massachusetts? How many people are on fields right now running? So when you look at statistics and you put yourself in that small number when you're doing something, you can take a look at those things and say, well, I have a chance. Or I want to be that 1% and figure out how to be that 1%. A lot of it's just staying consistent. And I look back and say, if I stayed consistent and stayed in school and kind of fell into the line that I should have probably followed, things would have happened much easier. But there's a path for everyone, and you learn along the way. And a lot of things come from just being consistent and not giving up and fighting and believing and having that breath that, hey, you're going to achieve greatness if you keep going forward. So something good will happen in not just sports, but your life. If you believe in positivity and great things happen.
And there's so many different stories like that, particularly with WWE superstars, because not everyone enters the game at 21, 22 years of age. Several people, bigger stars will enter the game later of age, but everyone has that story pretty much, it seems, definitely in a sport such as the WWE, entertainment business like the WWE. Just one I was thinking about earlier today, I think say a Dave Bautista. He didn't enter the game right out of 22. I mean, things happen in your life. You have to go through some challenges to even get to where you want to be. I mean, even professional athletes coming out of college, there's even a small percentage of athletes that make out of college to the next level. The fine line path is not for everybody. That's just not going to happen. So the challenges definitely make you stronger. And I think the WWE benefits more from that probably than most other professional sports, because it does take the charisma and just a different factor, a different kind of hunger for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I agree. I think just a lot of it's being hungry and staying hungry, no matter where you are at your successes, whether you're at the top or the bottom, just staying hungry and want to still be that best you can be, not the best for others, but what you truly believe is your best. That's when you're going to be at the top of your game.
And so before we go any further, I'll mention this again on the back end, but we'll allow you to plug your social media. But before we go even further, go ahead and tell the folks at home your social media, because I was looking at your Instagram today, over 33,000 followers, man. You're doing something right. So go ahead and plug your social media for the folks at home real quick.
Yeah, so my Instagram's hi-fi BG11. I just recently started a Facebook page, which is the same, and we're working on a Twitter now. My old Twitter account got hacked, so we're trying to get the old one back. So the new one is hi-fi BG1. So blow those up, keep growing them. I'm lucky to have a girlfriend that's my partner in everything that we do, and she creates great content. So without her creating that great content, I would probably be at 300 followers right now. So content's king.
Nice plug for the girlfriend, man. You can't go wrong with that. Cannot go wrong with that. You've learned a lot in 30 years. That's for sure. So you're from Swansea, Mass. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How was it growing up so close? How was it growing up so close to the Boston area?
So I think it's good. I live in the country. I like a little bit of that, but I also love the city. So it kept me grounded, having a mix, even as a young kid going up to Boston to watch the Red Sox. And then I went to a small junior high and small elementary school. And then I did go to a private school, but it was in the city where it was just a lot more cultured. And I'm very grateful for that. I think going to school in Fall River and being part of the Fall River culture has opened up doors for me in life. And when I've traveled to other cities, of just being aware and enjoying the fact that wherever I go, there's, some city in me.
So I'm assuming you're a Patriots fan.
I am. I love football, but yeah, I do. I love the Patriots way. I love the way they go about doing business. I think I'm more of a fan of their business style and their grind as to the actual team itself. I think what they embody, Mr. Kraft and Bill Belichick and Tom, and they've built such a great force there. And I think that's what I love the most.
It's very similar to our man Orlando is in San Antonio, in the way the Spurs organization runs things there in San Antonio. Just a world-class organization. They just do things the right way. The pieces seem to always fall into place because they do things the right way. So I was just curious now about your nickname, High Flyer. Now, where did you get that from? If we're going to see you here in NXT here in the near future, are you going to be one of those high flyers, or have you been in gymnastics at some point in your life, or why the High Flyer?
So that came when I was in high school dunking basketballs, being able to dunk. And I've kind of taken that and reinvented it. It's not really like jumping off ropes or doing flips or anything like that. It's kind of like being high flying in life and going after your dreams and goals and getting to the top and really trying to get there. So I use it more of like being the best, the top dog, the high flyer, the alpha male, whatever you want to call it, as opposed to like dunking or just high flying in general has a positive meaning behind it.
I would give anything to be able to dunk a basketball.
You can use a trampoline, right?
Maybe. Last time I was on a trampoline, I hurt my back a little bit, though. So I don't know. That didn't work out too well either. But anyway, I don't want to hog all the spotlight here. Dan, Orlando, you got anything for Brendan? Anything that's on your mind? A question real quick?
Yeah, I just want to, Brennan, going back to the Patriots, just to throw my football sense in, because this is a highly debated topic between Brandon and myself. Probably almost every episode it gets brought up. True or false, Brendan, is Tom Brady going to play until he's 45?
I hope so, man. I like his diet. I like how he eats. So I hope he's out there doing that, because that will prove to a lot of people that if you stay consistent and really eat a good way, you can play forever. So for all us athletes that are older, grind and please play till you're 45, Tom. Make it happen.
Thank you. All right, Brandon, you got your answer. He is going to play because he does not eat Frosted Flakes, as he said in a previous interview and I've mentioned on the show. It is his diet, and our boy Brandon Reed likes to think he's going to get injured every year, but he continues to show us wrong. So I appreciate that answer. Thank you.
It's not that I hope for it at all. I like Tom Brady, but he took a beating last year, and it just takes one wrong hit, and I don't care what your nutrition is like. Things happen. So, but I'll behave, since we got a guy right here from Swansea, Mass, on the podcast. But speaking of that, now also heard you say on the other guy's podcast, the People's Podcast, that you did study also at the TB12 Center.
Yeah, so that was one of the places that I sought out and really wanted to go and learn the new style of training. So being an older athlete and kind of seeing what Tom had done, I wanted to learn the method and kind of look at how I trained and wanted to be more mobile and more flexible and faster and really not be squatting heavy weights and benching heavy weights if I was going to be sore the next day. I know when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I felt sore all the time, and coaches would say, "Oh, well, keep crushing the weight, and eat more food." And you hear from Tom and other athletes, well, it's more about being disciplined and balanced and kind of finding that happy medium. So I went and sought out the TB12 Center and spent some time there, kind of learning the method and adapting and putting that into my own training because it works. I mean, it works for him. It might not work for everyone, but I think everyone can be a little more flexible. So if that's something that you can take from the TB12 training, I think that works for even older people and young kids that can't really use weights. So that's one thing that I really loved about it, and I put that into kind of everything that I do now.
Yeah, and I like your approach because, I've always been athletic, but I've never have been like a gym rat. I never was one to kind of crush the weights. I never really desired to be that big or that bulky, because you're right. And you were talking about, especially this is in the wrestling business, I would assume for sure. Some of these guys are pretty amazing as far as their flexibility and just versatility carrying the weight around that they are, but that's not for everybody. You can be bulky. You're going to add that probably 50, 60 pounds of muscle, but you're not going to be able to move with it or do anything with it. It's going to be a detriment to you. So I like that balance. And you talked about on the other podcast, the functional strength, cardio and flexibility. So, and I know you kind of incorporate a holistic, diet and just way of life into your overall total nutrition and weight training and just physicality.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of times where I'll have a few weeks where I'm a little off from being perfect, and I don't stress being perfect. I stress kind of being in balance, and you can go off for a little while and have some foods that are not necessarily all organic and those things, but when you get back into that regimen and stop feeling good and eating that way, you just notice better sleep, waking up in more of a positive mood set, recovering better, and just your whole life feels better from those things. So I really try to reach to people that are interested in learning more and asking, why do you do this? Or why would you eat this chicken versus that? Or why would you have tofu versus steak? And just trying to teach people the right way to do things. And some people can adapt those things, other people might not be as interested, but for me it's just been staying consistent. I think just like we talked about with a high school athlete want to play in college or a college athlete want to play in pros, well, kind of finding that consistency and just doing it over and over again. That's really what works in anything, any sport, any profession, just finding something that works and then just tweaking it and making that machine work better. So that's kind of what I've done with this. And I'm always open to learn more and try new things and ask questions. I read every day. I try to find that next cutting edge supplement that's going to come out. That's a vitamin or a turmeric or something like that. That's going to be what, changes my next diet routine. So.
All right, so let's get into the wrestling a little bit. I know Orlando's giddy about this. I know he's rooting for you to hopefully you're the next NXT star. So Orlando, what do you got for Brendan?
Yeah, no, obviously this is a different road. You're going to, is there anybody athlete, entertainer that you've been studying particularly, getting ready for this?
So I've watched a little bit of The Rock. I think I like The Rock because he's an entertainer too. Kind of his style, some of the old Ted DiBiase, Ric Flair stuff. A little bit of that. I've tried to not flood my mind with too many different things. I kind of want to go with my kind of plan. And I've talked to some people that have trained wrestlers, and I have a gentleman I'm meeting for lunch tomorrow who is actually from Swansea. Bob Evans is his name, and he's going to kind of tweak a plan for me that should work, and I'm going to kind of follow that. A lot of times I try to not create negative habits by watching certain things and then saying, oh, if I do it this way, maybe I'll be better, and not overthink it. So I'm trying to keep everything as simple as possible and go down there in good shape, good cardio shape, and kind of take the advice from these people that are meeting up to the event and going with that plan and just trying to stick it and crush it.
You mentioned some old school guys there, going back with the Ted DiBiase. And so I'm from Memphis, Brendan. So I grew up on Jerry the King Lawler. And, I may not bench press the most weight, but I'll throw a fireball. I'll pull a chain out of my tights. So, what have you got planned if things get, as far as your persona? Would you like to be a heel character, or would you like to be the face character, or just what's going to fit your personality best, do you think?
I think right now maybe a heel, but I'm going to kind of go and learn and see what they think would be best for me. I'm not an expert in this, so they say that, I'm a face, then I'm going to go with that. I want to be coachable and open and kind of show them that I have personality, and I'll train hard and kind of let them kind of dictate my path. So that's kind of my plan.
So you're really busy, in your high school days, early college days. Were you a wrestling fan traditionally throughout your whole life, pretty much?
On and off. It's crazy. I don't watch a ton of sports, to be dead honest with you. I love sports, but with work and training, and I have an online business and my relationship and family, and I do a lot of other things, reading and those things, unless I don't miss a Patriots game or maybe a Celtics playoff game, but I don't tend to watch a ton of TV at all. I just, I have so much going on that I'm really focused on those other things. And unless it's something that I can learn and apply it to what I need to and more into that, I'm not big into all the TV. So when I was a kid, I definitely loved wrestling. But I would say over the last 10 years, all sports, I've really only tuned in when I can really tune in.
Gotcha. So anything else, guys? Orlando?
Yeah, this is for a little bit of fun. And so, like, Ric Flair was a nature boy. Shawn Michaels was a heartbreak kid. Going into that, and you had total control of a name like that, what would your nickname be?
I'm going to stick with the high flyer.
You're going to be expected to come off some ropes then, Brendan.
I'm probably going to do, hey, maybe I'll go do like a choke slam or a stiff arm, maybe stiff arm off the ropes.
Nice.
But it's going to be a very fun process. And I know you were talking on the People's Podcast about no matter, not to really set specific expectations out of this. Just enjoy the process. Whatever comes out of it, you're going to meet contacts. Something good will come out of this, period, point blank. And that's just the great attitude to have. And like I said, it's got to be just an overall thrill to even be having this conversation.
Absolutely. And my plan is to go down and crush it and make them not want me to leave. So it's going to be on them. So that's kind of how not to be cocky, but I want to have that attitude, positive, and just say, hey, like, I'm here. It's my time. Let's do this. I'm here to party and have a blast.
And this is going to be great footage from My Fantasy Podcast too, Dan, when this guy blows up the high flyer. You heard it here first. Well, one of the first places you heard it, but on myfantasysportstalk.com. So you got anything else for Brendan before we let him go? He's a busy guy. He doesn't watch TV. He don't even have time to watch TV, Dan.
No, I wish I was like that. I appreciate you coming on. We're definitely rooting for you. Either way, I would love a follow-up. We'll get you back on again, see how the training facility went, how the whole time was, and and what is in your future. So I'm excited. This is a first of hopefully many contributions that you have for the show. We look forward to seeing what comes out of this at the end of the month. Very exciting.
Yeah, guys, thank you. I'd love to be back. Maybe next time we'll have my girlfriend on. She can provide some entertainment.
Yeah.
Nice. And so, but just to put a bow on this, tell the folks at home about the tryout. You're invited to Orlando. The tryout is how many days? When is it? What do you know about it as of right now?
So I know I'm leaving Wednesday morning out of Providence. There's like a check-in Wednesday night in Orlando. And the hardcore training will be Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday morning it seems like we will cut a promo and then leave. So that's right now that's what I'm going to be working on with those old gentlemen that I had mentioned that had been around the game for a while and really nailing that promo. So that's it. And then I'm back in 3 days. It's going to go really fast. And the 4th of July is here, and I'll be relaxing and recovering because I'm sure my body will be definitely tired, and be a good thing.
Yeah, if taking bumps, I know you played sports your whole life, but I think taking those in-ring bumps is a little bit more physical than folks really realize at home. That'll be so if you're progressing and doing a whole lot of that. So I know you will be sore. You'll need that 4th of July holiday, but very exciting. So one last time, just kind of tell folks at home your social media, how to get a hold of you. I know you are big into fitness. You have a lot of fitness videos on your Instagram account. So just one last time, how do folks get a hold of you and follow you on social media?
Head over to Instagram, HighFlyerBG11, Twitter, HighFlyerBG1, and through there you'll see the links to all my other pages. And if you have any questions, comments, hit me up, message me, direct message me, email me. I'm always there to chat and love to help.
There you go. Brendan Griffin, High Flyer BG, is going to be trying out with the WWE in Orlando in just a matter of a week or so. So we do want to do a follow-up with you when you get back, and just let us know how it goes. Either way, what happened, what's the future hold for you? But we're all rooting for you here, and I appreciate you for joining us.
Hey, guys, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Take it easy, Orlando. Take it easy, Dan.
Thanks.
Take care, man. Good luck.
Good luck, brother. Good
Hey,
luck.
thank you.
All right, that's Brendan Griffin. Look out for him on NXT in a ring coming soon to a TV near you. But for Orlando Torres, Dan Chalk, I'm Brandon Reed. That does it for this episode of My Fantasy Podcast. Thanks for joining us, podcast peeps. Later. Peace. All right, man. Good job.